Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, since this is an icebreaker speech, I'll start out by saying, again, my name is Brady. Nice to meet you all. I spent the first probably half of my life saying Brady like the Brady Bunch, and the last half is kind of converted to Brady like Tom Brady. So that's kind of changed my life so far. And I'll start off by really hitting it hard and just sharing three characteristics that kind of define me. First is my trade. My trade is I'm a civil engineering consultant. I specify specifically in transportation. I have a degree from NC State University. My second is my passion. My passion is sports. Even to today, I spend a lot of time playing sports and watching sports, a lot of free time doing that. And a lot of my life even revolves around going to sport events and other things. My third is a characteristic that really defines my personality, and I'd say that's independence. And I'll hit on that independent one throughout the speech. And what I'll do is actually fast forward through how I grew up, and then kind of slow down to the past couple weeks, the last couple weeks, and how my life's really changed in that sense. Raise your hand if you remember being born. Yeah, me either. But my mom told me I was born in Chicago. I say that because I don't remember anything about it. Fortunately, she told me not too long ago, but she informed me that my real father, who I've not met until even today, that he was really abusive to me when I was first born, and they quickly got me out of that situation and moved back to where her home was in Beckley, West Virginia. So around 6 months old, she took me away from Chicago and took me from that man and took me back to her home, more stable life in Beckley. Then around age 4, she then ended up moving down to Charlotte, and she was where she got remarried to the figure that I refer to as my father. And they were together for about 6 or 7 years, and then they just kind of grew apart. Nothing too bad, but they got divorced when I was around 11 or 12. And so from that time forward, I grew up with no siblings, so an only child with a single mom who didn't get home until 6 or later most of the night. So I really grew up very, very independently. Taught myself how to do a lot of things on my own, but we still managed to make really good grades. I took APs in honor classes, graduated high school with 4.6, got into NC State, where I then graduated with 3.7 in engineering. So I've really taught myself to do a lot of things, but just growing up that way, you really find yourself in situations where you kind of want to do things on your own, and where that really matters is growing up. I didn't really find myself in a long-term relationship. I kind of bounced around from relationship to relationship, whether it was I was just bored with that person, or my independent qualities that I really gathered in the way I grew up, doesn't really entice itself to having someone wanting your attention a lot and getting on the phone and doing things. I was always the type where if I'm hungry, I don't want to wait until 30 minutes or an hour until someone else gets hungry. I'm so good at a restaurant. I'll literally go to a restaurant and eat myself. So a lot of things in that manner. But as of yesterday, I've now been dating a girl named Lori for 3 years. And she was a type where actually 6 months in, she told me she loved me. And I was always the type where I would, not say those words just to say them back. I really wanted to mean it when I say it back. So that hurt her at first. And it actually took another year before I said the words back. So another year and a half in is when I actually said it back. So that was a year and a half ago now. So now, as of yesterday, we're together 3 years. So fast forward to around Thanksgiving of this past year, I really found that I can sort of start to change, and she just kind of fit in my life, and in each other's lives really well. So that whole independent nature kind of took me to a point where I was okay with not being quite as independent, and I could see someone else in my life. So I started looking at rings, and if any guys, if you've been in that situation, I didn't even know what finger the ring went on. So there was a lot of learning that I had to do. And if you guys want to talk later, it's fresh on mine, so I can kind of teach you things. But I wanted to keep this a complete secret. So I didn't ask her any questions. I didn't know what ring size was. I didn't know what she wanted, anything. The other difficult part of that was planning. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but what I realized I wanted to do after thinking about it was wait until Christmas until we pull states out of the hat. Let me tell you about that. So each Christmas so far, the past couple of years, we have this new tradition where on Christmas Day we put all the states in a hat that we've been to, and we pull out each state. And the last state left is what state we're going to go to that next year, so it forces us to learn about a new state, research it, all that good stuff, and then we go to that state. So here I am knowing I wanted to wait until we find out what state we get to, where I already have the ring. And here I am on Christmas Day, the states are being pulled out, and we're crossing off the states, so you can see what's left. So like Ohio, Maine, Arizona. The last state we get is Wyoming. And I knew I wanted to propose in January, so I knew that the plan was going to happen fast. And excuse my French, but I said, oh shit. I was like, in my head, I said, this is not going to be too easy, because I had to find a weekend where we could go, and so all this was surprise. So end up getting Wyoming. Started thinking Cheyenne. So learned Jackson Hole was in Wyoming. And so doing some research, it kind of worked out pretty well in that it was also a place where you go skiing, be in the winter. Great. So planned all that out. Fast forward to this past Thursday morning. Woke her up Thursday morning. She thought she was going to work last Thursday. Woke up at 4 in the morning, had a checklist, and said, here, start packing. So she starts packing. She's freaking out for a while. She's really freaking out. She then finally gets in her head about 5. So it took a while from 4:15 to 5. All right, now we can go with this. So then that reduced the amount of time we could pack and get going to an hour. So finally got her on the plane. Ended up getting there. Everything worked out really well. Ended up getting to the hotel. Had reservations ready at this restaurant. It was called the Clore Restaurant, which is a restaurant on top of the mountain. It's 9,000 feet up. Most of you love one. To get there, you take a gondola. So walked to the gondola. 12-minute ride. So reduced that amount of time to 12 minutes for me to propose. So I ended up proposing last Thursday. She said yes. So to wrap all this up, I've always heard that you can't really, once you turn 30 years old, you are who you are. You can't. It's really tough to change who you are. I'm 29 now, and I turned 30 in June. So, ready.